Hello and welcome back, everyone. It's just another day in the life as a military wife. And this week I have a special guest on in honor of Military Spouse Appreciation and military appreciation in general. And because of the conversation that we have about her experience in the military as a military service member and then later as a military spouse, there is a topic where viewer discretion is advised. It is a serious issue that does confront members of our military and needs to be addressed. We try to do so in a tactful situation, but informative. So I want to give you a heads up on that. But I am really grateful for our guest today. She is a fabulous person, and I can't wait for you to get to know her. As always, I am your host, Sam Wolf, and you're listening to Life of a Military Wife. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone?
Okay, hi, I'm Modesty, and I'm 32 or 33. I have to count. I don't know. I'm turning 32 or 33 next month. One of those two. Anyways, I am from Bothell, Washington, but I tell people Seattle because people don't know what Bothell is. And then I served in the military. I have 3 kiddos and then another one on the way.
Where you're still a military spouse.
Yeah. Oh, right. I am a military spouse.
You are.
Yeah.
And what are you've had several side hustles since getting out.
Yeah. So I did for 8 years hair and makeup freelancing, and I had a YouTube channel for I want to say 8 years, and then I now bake cookies randomly. Oh, and I was a unique seller for the longest time too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you get into the military? Why did you join? And what was your MOS?
Okay, so I have a tattoo of when I joined. I know that's like so cheesy. Yeah, so I joined 2010. And I joined because no one in my family was ever in the military. And I joined because I was just standing there. I worked in the mall at the time, and I had just escaped an incredibly abusive relationship. And I was sitting there and I was walking around on break. I worked at As Seen on TV, and I saw a recruiter, and I felt this weird like pull, which is strange because, I mean, first off, I was a female. I was never a military brat, nothing, but I felt this pull, but I was like, whatever. So I went back to my store I was working in, and then the recruiter walked in on his break, and he was just walking around, and I felt this pull, but I didn't say anything. And then I called my mom, because my mom was going to pick me up. I was like, Mom, can you tell the recruiter that I want to meet with him? And she goes, what? I was like, just do it, please. And so she did. And then he came and he talked to me, and we scheduled the official meeting. And then I ended up joining the military. It was like as simple as that. And I didn't know I was joining at the time, but then I thought about it. I was like, I think I was kind of escaping this guy because he was also stalking me, and I was denied a restraining order. So I was like, what other options do I have? So it's kind of like you reach an impasse in your life. You're like, okay, I can either go on the path I'm going on, or I can join the military. And so I joined the military. And I chose 42 Alpha, which is admin, which people make fun of because I actually got offered an MOS that had like a $40,000 bonus, but I turned it down because I wanted to be 42 Alpha because my dream job when I was a kid was a secretary. And I thought, I was like, well, I want something I can do outside the military. So
yeah, that makes sense. Well, like, honestly, everyone's allowed to have their own dreams.
I didn't want to be a veterinarian. I wanted to be a secretary.
And you know what? We need secretaries. I tell this to my kids all the time, that we need garbage men, we need carpenters. I am so grateful for plumbers and electricians, and we need secretaries. We need people who are passionate about lots of different things.
Yeah.
So when you were in the military, where, like, is there anything you want to share about, like, where you were stationed? Were you ever deployed? Anything like that?
Yeah. So I, of course, went to South Carolina for basic training like everyone does. And then I went home on Christmas break and then went back for AIT in South Carolina. But then my duty station was Fort Bliss, Texas. I like to just tell people I was in Mexico, but because you could stick your finger through the gate. Your
Yeah.
finger could be in Mexico, trespassing, but you know. Yeah, so I was in Fort Bliss, Texas, which actually I liked. Not not the area itself, but they actually had a really good shopping mall, and I was younger, so I liked shopping. So,
Yeah.
And actually, I don't know if you've heard this, Fort Bliss has like the top rated like gym and on post mall and like everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
I actually did not know
Yes,
that.
it is actually one of the, well, because that area sucks so much, they have to make it awesome. So
That makes sense. But it seems like they do that. I've seen that in some other installations.
Mhm.
Okay. So were you ever deployed?
I was actually supposed to deploy, and that's actually where the whole story gets fuzzy. So me and my husband, we were actually supposed to be deployed at the same time.
Okay.
It's crazy how it happened. I was supposed to be deployed, and then something happened. I ended up being rear D, and then I got out like 2 weeks later. It like happened so fast.
Okay, so how did you meet your husband?
I met him at the gym. I wasn't going to work out, well, that day. So I actually had this good friend and who was a male, and me and him, we were good friends because it was the first male I could hang out with who didn't want to hit on me. We were it was nice having a platonic friend. So he actually introduced us because he was 2 buildings over, and he's like, it was my day off from the gym. We were workout buddies, and he goes, "Hey, you want to come to the gym?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to go to the gym." He goes, "No, no, no, not to work out. I know it's your day off. I'm gonna go box somebody." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm gonna go talk my friend up. So it was a Thursday, and in Fort Bliss, they have this thing called Family Day. So you get off early. So you get off at like 1500, and so I got dressed, and he picked me up, and we went to the gym, and I was standing there. We were waiting for him, and this guy's running late, and I was like talking to my friend. I was like, "He's scared of you, he's not, So then up walks this short dude, backpack, and and then we meet, and actually this guy was like, "Hey, is that your wife?" And we look at you like, "Oh, ew, no." My friend was married, and we're like, "Oh, gosh, no." And so he goes, "Okay," like almost like satisfied. It was super weird. Anyway, so they go and they start boxing, and this guy kicks my friend's butt. I got a picture of it. He actually hoisted my friend over his shoulder and like threw him on the ground.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty
Wait, was it
intense.
like kickboxing or boxing?
It was like kickbox. It was wrestling / but it was like
Okay,
a whole.
so not just normal boxing. Okay, I'm following you.
Yeah, like through like I didn't realize he was such a fighter, and so then I don't know what came over me, and I was like, well, now you have to wrestle me now, because I took wrestling when I was younger, and I did army combatives and everything, and I don't know what I was in a mini skirt, so he kicks my butt, and then I slapped him. This person's now my husband. It's literally how we met. We started dating ever since.
Okay. Well, so you were both dual military at the time. And so did you have your kids after you got out, or did you have some while you were?
Actually, we were only married. We were only quote unquote dual military for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. So we actually we actually got married, like, let's see, we met October 28th and we were married March 11th.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when did he deploy?
He deployed December 29th. So before he came back to R&R, we got married.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was supposed to show up on deployment like a month after him. Okay. So we were gonna be deployed-ish at the same time. But then something happened, and I became rear D because of the whole thing. So I am not deploying, and yeah. So.
And you guys weren't in the same unit?
No. So my unit wasn't attached to any of the. I was part of the same brigade, but I was HHB, so like my unit was like the headquarters for the entire brigade, and he was just in a battery. So
okay,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But he was 2 buildings over though. So
all right, yeah. So you're in the same large group, but not anywhere near each other normally.
Yeah.
Okay, so Why did you get out? Do you want?
So I got out. I didn't know I wanted out. I didn't know what I wanted. So I was sexually assaulted. It was a Thursday night. It was a 3 or 4 day weekend. And I have actually been assaulted before when I was younger. So I have this fear of being like alone. So, well, alone with men. So every weekend, because I knew I was under 21 and everyone else in the barracks was over 21, every weekend I made myself go broke, bought a hotel room, and I refused to stay in the barracks on the weekends. The one weekend I didn't. Well, yeah.
Oh
Yeah, the
no.
one weekend I didn't because I was like, God, I just can't afford it this time. So I stayed back and everyone was getting super drunk. And so I was like, I'm going to bed. And then I was asleep and then someone came up to my room and I was sexually assaulted. And then I, of course, you're traumatized, you're upset. And I was having a lot of problems. And I was like, what do you need? I'm like, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. I was like, whether it's leave, what, I just want to go home. And instead of, getting me the therapy I needed to make it through, they said, oh, chapter 33, let's just say she's nuts. And,
That sadly happens to a lot.
yes.
I've ran into, unfortunately, working with military spouses and just former military.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be something that does happen
Mm-hmm.
frequently with women, and that's unfortunate.
A lot of time, if you hear a woman get out and they say, oh, she was chapter 33, it's safe to assume that something happened.
Something happened and they didn't want
Yeah.
to address it.
They decide to say, because they didn't want to deal with it. So instead of, saying, hey, let's let her talk to a counselor, because I thought about it, months later, I was like, I didn't want to get out. Of course, something like that happens. You're like, I need to go home. Like, just like, so
Yeah, you want to feel safe. You want to be out of that
mm-hmm,
bad situation, but you
mm-hmm,
don't necessarily. Yeah, no, I understand.
yeah,
And that's honestly something that the military has genuinely struggled to face and handle. And it doesn't seem like any of the things that they have put into place have effectively addressed that situation, because I know of situations recently where that still is happening.
yeah. It's not as common now, but it was in the time because I was in from 2010 to 2012, and that was when it was like a big thing.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to be quite as frequent.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's still as poorly handled.
Right.
And so it's still complicated. It's still
Mm-hmm.
definitely complicated.
It,
Yeah. And that is one of the things when you're for women who are going into the military, you have to understand is a possibility and you have to start coming up with game plans.
mm-hmm.
How am I going to handle this? How am I going to avoid these situations? What am I going to
Mm-hmm.
do to protect myself? And that's just something as women we have to do in general, whether you're in the military or not in the military, due to the nature of society these days. These are skills our daughters need.
Yeah.
So there are resources, and I will put them in the description for this episode, that I have found that can help women and girls be ready to handle and protect and defend themselves in those kinds of situations. And I think it's important to have these discussions because there is a lot of really wonderful men out there. There are a
Yeah.
lot of
Oh, there is.
fabulous men out
100%.
there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to be able to protect yourself
Mm-hmm.
because there are still creeps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was and then having to and actually I think my husband he had a hunch and he called me. He just because I was in the hospital getting the rape kit done and he called me. He goes, "Are you okay? I feel like I need to call you and ask if you're okay." And I was like, "I have to tell you something." Gosh, yeah. So we were literally like he had already scheduled his R&R leave for us to get married. So, and it happened like literally right before. And I mean, thankfully it didn't delay anything.
These are complex situations and
Hmm.
conversations it's important to have with our kids, again, when it's developmentally appropriate.
Right.
There is a time and a place to have these conversations. But it's also helping make sure that the resources are there for individuals, that they have the support and love
Hmm.
that they need to get through those hard times. Learning prevention is always the best.
Yeah.
Prevention is always the best. But sometimes prevention doesn't always work, and you have to just find ways to work through it. So, you guys did get married,
Yes.
and you have 3 kids so far. Tell us a little bit about the YouTube and the channel and the makeup and all that fun creative stuff.
I, so I've I was a typical millennial. don't know how to do your makeup and everything, but he was deployed. And after I got out and he was still deployed, I moved in with his parents. So I was sitting there and I discovered YouTube at the time, and I was just like watching videos, and I was like, oh, this is fun. So for almost a year, I watched YouTube videos, and then he came back from deployment. We were in Georgia, and because he was reclassing, and I was sitting there, and I was like, you know what? Let's just put something up for fun. And I enjoyed doing it, and I kept doing it and kept doing it. And then, you get like more and more views, and it just kind of becomes a thing you do. And I taught myself how to do makeup in YouTube. And then I started teaching other people, and then I had people wanting me to do makeup on them and do their hair. And so I started doing weddings, and it just progressed into this thing, into this huge makeup beast. And like I was started, so I was doing YouTube videos, and I was doing freelancing, and then I started doing unique products, and it just became like all these little side hustles that were all like tied into this like one thing that you had no idea you were passionate about, but you actually were. So yeah.
That's really cool. So, you're doing all this at the same time you're becoming a mom. How was
Yeah.
that?
I don't know. So this sounds strange. Nothing is ever huge to me. It just everything kind of becomes just a thing. I actually I know a lot of stuff like getting married and all these things feel like big deals for people, but I kind of join the military. It can be a big deal for people. I kind of just I say I float through life. I kind of just, I don't it like I wasn't nervous. I'm like, okay, and today's my wedding day. Okay, and today is this day. And it's just like it's weird. So it was just what was. I don't know. I adapted, and nothing felt too huge. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
No, that's actually a really great skill to have as a military spouse because our lives are so unpredictable.
What's funny though is with big life things, I kind of just, this it's a thing, but like little things, I like have like control issues. Like if like there's a change, like if say we make plans for a day, and then they're like, oh well, even if it's not a bad change, like oh well, let's do this instead. I get super anxious, and I'm like, no, I mapped this out of my brain, and this, and it's like little things. But then big monster things, I'm like, okay, like it's super weird. It's like backwards almost, like.
You know what? Everyone handles things differently.
It's like I spend so much time stressing about small things that when it comes to big things, I'm like, I have no stress left.
So you told me about your viral video. You had a viral video and you started kind of kicked off a trend.
Yeah. So I didn't know I'd started a trend at the time. It's if you guys want to look it up, it's called the Dollar Tree Makeup Challenge. And I was just sitting there because everyone's doing, everyone does like similar videos, like, I love fall tag, I love this, blah, 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 or, monthly favorites. And then I was like, and we were broke. So I was like, why shop at Dollar Tree? I was like, what if I did a whole face with Dollar Tree? Because I can't go to Sephora. And I was like, so I even said in the beginning of the video, I'm like, I don't know if this is a thing or not, but you know what? We're going to do this. Because I assumed someone had already done it before. But then I was getting ready I was actually in the hospital giving birth to our middle child. And I was like, all of a sudden I got notifications. Like I checked my phone. I was like, hang on. I was like, why do I have so many notifications? What's going on here? And apparently my video made the trending page on YouTube. And then all these people were saying, dude, well, I've never heard of this thing. Blah, blah, blah. What is this? I was like, oh my gosh, well, apparently I created a thing. And then I found someone had tagged me in a comment on someone else's video, and they said, I just want you guys to know, I thought this was first. I might have posted it after her, but I just couldn't upload in time. I'm like, but whatever. And then actually what was funny, of course, because, and then actually other people started doing the Dollar Tree make. Everyone started doing it. Jeffree Star did it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, started a thing, hey, Yeah, so and what's funny is when you have a viral video, half the comments are bad and half of them are good. You start.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I was just like, all right, it was super weird. And then I started getting like all these subscribers, and then actually it was unfortunate because my channel was like really starting to take off, and then the huge, I don't know if you remember it, there was a massive algorithm switch.
Yes.
And I was a victim of the massive algorithm switch.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was so like, it was like night and day. Like I was getting thousands of views a day, and then the next day it was like 200 views on like it was super weird. And then I couldn't come back from that algorithm switch. Like, yeah. So, but I still kept posting videos. I still kept doing my thing. And then what really ended it was COVID. I
Mhm.
think COVID changed how people watch videos, and I don't like the whole reels, and I didn't like that. And I was like, I'm very much like long form video. I like getting to know the person, and so it kind of just fizzled away because I was like, YouTube's changing, and I'm not down with TikTok. I'm not down with doing any of that. So sorry.
Yeah, so you've switched gears now and you're
Hmm.
doing something now that fits your family better.
Yes,
And you're a very talented, very flexible, creative person.
I've kind of learned that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a really wonderful skill for military
Hmm.
spouses is to adapt, to realize there's a time in life and sometimes
Hmm.
you're going to be able to pursue one thing and sometimes you're going to need to switch gear. So talk a little bit more about how you came to what you're doing now.
Yeah. So, we were in this weird season of life, it was the COVID season of life where like everything's changing. And then we also ended up moving here. And we thought, oh, cost of living is going to be cheaper. And then we got slammed with the insurance here, which is, everything we were saving in groceries from living in Hawaii, we made up for in insurance. And not only that, we also ended up taking a pay cut because you don't have the COLA anymore. So we were like, somehow it is like tighter here than it was in Hawaii. So we were like, but I can't go get a job because now I'm pregnant. And what are we going to do? So I was like, well, I need something to do. I need something to do where I can make money. But I had no idea what to do. So I was just like, whatever, we'll figure it out eventually. God will find a way. So then I made cookies for the missionaries one time because they came in Motorola. And I was like, well, I'm not allowed to pay you. Can I give you cookies? Funny story, I don't like cookies too. So I made them cookies and then I had some extra and I was like, well, my neighbor, I know she likes peanut butter cookies and she's pregnant. Let me give her some too. So I had like 3 left over and I gave them to her. And then she goes, hold on. Hold on. Do you sell cookies? Because these are delicious. So I was like, no, I just kind of made them. And she goes, hold on. And the next thing I know, I'm literally getting messages from people saying, hey, do you sell cookies? I hear you have really good cookies. And I was like, I can make some for you if you want. And then, so it just accidentally turned into a cookie business.
Happy accidents are amazing.
And I was like, because we even had a number, we were like, we need to find a way to make like $500 a month. That's what we need. And then after like 3 months, I was like, I've made $500 a month the past 3 months. It was weird. Like, it was like almost the exact amount. I was like, oh, geez, okay. He does find a way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I ended up stumbling upon making cookies, and I'm not even a cookie person.
To explain to everyone where they can find you, like your YouTube page, your cookie
Mhm.
page. If the people who are listening want to check out what you've done, tell them about where they can look
Yeah.
at.
So, if you are still curious, if you want to watch the Dollar Tree makeup challenge, if you go to YouTube and you were to type in Modesty Jean, yes, some videos about modest jeans will come up, but you will find my page.
So yeah, Modesty Jean, and we'll put the links in just in case.
So Modesty Jean is also my Instagram, and that is also like basically Modesty Jean is like my online persona. It's Modesty's Cookies and Baked Goods. It's on Facebook. So
Yeah, so
yeah.
if you're interested, go ahead, check Modesty out on those. But okay, well, thank you for being on here. Thank you for sharing your story. I know that we were a little all over the place because there was a lot to cover
I
in a
squirrel.
very short time. No, you didn't squirrel as much as you could have. We pulled it together. If you guys can't tell, I interview a lot of people from all over, but occasionally I have the opportunity to meet fabulous military spouses in my own community. And as I get to know them, I find things that I want to share with all of you that they have shared with me. And Modesty is one of those fabulous
We had the
military
same due date. It was
Yeah.
meant to be.
Yeah, that's how we met. We met at in our congregation and we had the same due dates for baby cuteness and her youngest. And yeah, it's been a thing ever since. So I really the more I've gotten to know her and all the incredible things she's done, being prior service and all of that, I really wanted, especially because since May is Military Appreciation Month and it has Military Spouse Appreciation Day, I thought interviewing her and highlighting her experiences and what she went through as a service member and as a military spouse and just her experiences would be a great thing to share with you and just kind of get some conversations going. So we will have resources and links to her stuff in the description below for you guys to check out and look into. But I think it's important to understand the unique and specific struggles that female military service members encounter, and to support them who are sacrificing quite a bit and sometimes encounter very hard, challenging, and sometimes tragic situations. So that's what I want to share with y'all today. And the podcast will be in the description below, as always. If you want to contact, email, X, Facebook are great ways to contact me and share topics and ideas and suggestions. Or if you have questions about books, reviews, things that I've done in the past, please feel free to contact me. Last of all, let's work on being the good we want to see in the world. I know that we can be a force for good. And that said, as always, I am your host, Sam Wolf, and you're listening to Life of a Military Wife.